So in the past, I've talked about why I don't typically buy the newest tech. That is, the newest models of certain types of tech. But there's another part to that equation, and that's that I buy almost all of the technology that I have secondhand. Let's get into the reasons why that is. If you don't know me, I'm Spencer, and I like to talk about simple living, frugality, and ways to cut down on your technology usage, sometimes by using other technologies. Today, I want to share 3 key reasons why I buy almost all of my tech secondhand, and then I want to suggest a few of my favorite places to buy tech on the used market. So starting out with tip number 1, and that is buying secondhand tech can lead to huge cost savings. So you guys know that I'm a pretty frugal guy, and I try to save money wherever I can. Buying secondhand is a great way generally to do this, and with technology, it's no exception. Now, there's an important distinction between being frugal and being cheap. To me, being cheap means buying the cheapest products and putting the cost before all else. Oftentimes, what this means is putting cost above quality as well, which can lead to buying lower quality, junky items that need to be replaced sooner rather than later. Or sometimes the item can just be less enjoyable to use because it wasn't designed as well. Being frugal means thinking about cost, but finding a balance where you're buying high quality, long-lasting goods for the best price possible. Often buy it for life type items aren't the cheapest options that are available. So by buying secondhand, you're able to acquire those higher quality goods at a lower price point than retail. For this, I'll use the example of my camera, the Sony a7C. This camera is great. It has a ton of pro features. It's made very well. Had I bought one of the cheaper offerings out there to save money, I would have been missing out on a lot of the pro features that come in this camera. But by buying a slightly older camera model, because the Mark II of this is now released, and by buying this camera used, I was able to save big time. In Canada, the a7C still sells new here for $2,199 Canadian, which with tax adds up to just about $2,500. A few months ago, I bought a lightly used version of this camera on the secondhand market, and I negotiated to get it for a price of $1,500 in cash. That's 40% off of the new price. So moving on to the second reason why I choose to buy my technology secondhand, and that is because it allows me to sell the item for much closer to what I paid for it. This is another huge benefit of buying used because the overall cost of ownership is dramatically reduced. Staying with the example of my camera setup, the camera that I sold to replace for my Sony a7C was the Sony a7S Mark II, a camera that was very popular a few years back. The camera was a few years old when I bought it, but when I made the purchase in early 2021, I paid $1,600 cash. I sold it just a couple of weeks ago for $900, meaning for the time that I owned it, the overall cost of ownership was $700. Had I bought the camera new at the time though, I would have been spending close to $3,000 out the door, which would have raised the total cost of ownership to around $2,100. This is another great benefit of buying tech used. When it comes time to sell it and move on to something else, you lose way less cash in the process. So moving on to the third reason why I choose to buy my tech secondhand is it allows me to buy and try tech for little to no cost. Now this is related to my last point about lowering the overall cost of ownership by buying used. By purchasing the tech used and getting a much better price than retail, I'm able to try out that technology and see if it works with my lifestyle. If I find that it doesn't, I'm able to often list it and sell it for the same price that I paid. And if I negotiated well, I might be able to make a little extra. A great example of this is with my computer setup. Last year, I purchased a used Mac Mini M1 for $700. This thing had the upgraded 16 gigabytes of RAM, it was much below retail, and it was also aided by the new release of the M2 chips in the Mac Minis. Also included at the time was a Magic Keyboard and a Magic Mouse, which would have been added cost for me had I bought this device new in the first place. After a few months of using it, I realized that I really still wanted the portability of having a laptop that I could bring with me when I travel for work so I can work on my videos for YouTube. So earlier this year, I listed the Mac Mini for sale and I sold it for the $700 that I paid, but I held on to the keyboard and the mouse. Then I took that $700 that I had and I bought a base model MacBook Air M1 for the same price. Now, had I bought these items new, I would have paid hundreds of dollars more in each transaction, but I wouldn't have been able to sell them for any higher. So that would have been all lost money for me. But because of the fact that I bought these things used, I was able to try out the tech, sell them when I was ready, and lose no money in the process. So now I want to just list a few few of my favorite places to buy secondhand tech. This could honestly be an entire video on its own, and if you'd be interested in seeing that, let me know in the comments and maybe I'll just do that. But the two most common places that I use to buy my used tech is going to be online via Kijiji and Facebook Marketplace. Now, Kijiji is a buy and sell app similar to Craigslist, and you can find pretty much anything on there. There is near infinite listings out there, and I've had a lot of luck buying and selling things over the years that I've been using that service. I think I've been a member of Kijiji for like 15 years now. When I bought my Mac Mini, Kijiji is where I bought it. And I even bought this guitar, which you often see in the ends of some of the videos, for 40% below retail, I may add. Now, Marketplace is on Facebook, meaning that you have to have a Facebook account in order to access the listings. But I do think it's worth getting just because of the sheer amount of things that are available on there. Now, I got my MacBook on there. I got my Punked MP02 on there. And I even got my portable projector on there as well. And I have sold tons of stuff on there too to great success. A few other good options for finding used tech on Facebook is to utilize specific buy and sell groups. Like I'm in one specifically for the film industry in Toronto, and it only is listings for film equipment. And there's a lot of other specialized buy and sell groups as well, both catering to your locality or specific niches you may be interested in. You just need a Facebook account to access those. Thrift stores are another great option to find used tech. I found great deals on used video game systems there, DVD players and VCRs, used stereo equipment, and more. Pawn shops are also great for a wide variety of stuff. I've had a lot of luck there in the past buying used musical instruments as well as video game systems. So check out your local pawnbroker if there's one in your area. Hey guys, Editor Spencer here. I just wanted to add one more great place where you can go to find used technologies, and that is actually yard sales and garage sales. I didn't really immediately think of it when I had originally shot that video, but yesterday my girlfriend and I were at a local community garage sale just a few blocks from here, and we went there actually 3 different times over the weekend. I was just kind of looking as different vendors came and went to see what deals I could find. So I found what may be the deal of the century when I was there, and that is the Shure SM58 vocal microphone. If you guys haven't heard, I'm planning on starting a podcast in the very near future, and I needed a couple of microphones so I could do that. I had one, but I was looking for another, and I found this one at a garage sale in a bin with a bunch of other microphones. This microphone retails for $139 Canadian new. This one is in great shape. It works perfectly, and I've tested it. I got it for just $4. And that's kind of what you can expect at garage sales. Garage sales, you can expect the unexpected. You never know what you're going to find. There's always those wild card items, and if you're willing to do some negotiation and dig through the piles of stuff, you might find a screaming deal like I found with the Shure SM58. So that's about it for today, folks. Just a few of my reasons why I choose to buy technology secondhand, and a few great places to look if you're in the market for some used tech yourself. I'd love to hear in the comments section if this is something that you're already doing. What are some examples from your life of great used tech deals that you've found on the secondhand market? Until next time, thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.